Hello and welcome to the Grammaticus tutorial on shape analogies. Today we're going to look at this non-verbal reasoning question, which often appears on the Lincolnshire GL non-verbal reasoning paper. Let's have a little look what we're being asked to do today. Now, I'm sure you'll have come across some other analogy questions. Analogies are quite common in 11 plus. We come across several analogy questions in verbal reasoning. We come across word analogies and letter analogies, and shape analogies follow the same principle. So in an analogy, whatever happens to one pair, we have to do the same thing with another pair. Let's just have a little look at the example so that I can illustrate this. If you have a little look here, we have a light grey square, which becomes a darker grey square. If we have a little look over here on the other side of the colon, we've got a grey arrow pointing down, and we've got to do the same thing to this grey arrow as we did to this grey square. Well, the grey square became a darker grey square. It didn't change its orientation. It didn't become a diamond shape. It remained in the same orientation. So all we're looking for on this example is the change in colour. And if we look across to our possibilities over here, we can see that we have one that's dark grey that's been circled A. Now, as is quite normal, the actual questions are a little bit harder than the example that we've been given. It's always a good idea, rather than trying to consider every element of the figure at once, to consider one thing at a time and use that to discount possible answers. So let's just have a little look what we've got here. Well, if we have a little look, we can take the lines to start with. We've got horizontal lines here that become vertical lines. So similarly, we've got horizontal lines on our shape over here. So we're looking for a shape over here that has vertical lines. So we can discount A and D because neither of those have vertical lines. Okay, let's have a little look what else changes. Well, the two black squares that we have on either side, they come out of the white rectangle and they go down to the bottom. So similarly, the ovals that we've got here, they're going to go from at the top here down to the bottom. So we were looking for a position where they're like in that same position. So if we look over here, we can see, well, we've got those two ovals here, the two ovals here, but here we've got one inside the stripe shape and one inside the trapezium at the top, so we can get rid of that one. So it comes down to these two shapes now, and it's often quite a good idea, rather than trying to spot other things happening in here, to look over here first and see if you can spot the difference between the two that are remaining. Well, if I look carefully, I can see that I've got a rectangle that's being turned on its edge. So it's on its short side attached to the trapezium, and here it's on its long side. Well, if I go over to my example here, I can see that the long side was facing up rather than across on here. So this would be in the same orientation. It hasn't been rotated, whereas this one has. I'm going to go back here and see what's happened to this. Has it been rotated? Well, it hasn't been rotated. It's just been reflected. It's been reflected in a horizontal mirror line. So it's gone from here down to here. It hasn't changed its rotation. So this one here is going to literally be coming down like this. That's what I would expect to happen, which is what's happened to the triangle here. So the one that looks like a long rectangle rather than a wide rectangle would be B. So I'm going to circle B, that's my correct answer. I'm going to mark that on my answer sheet, and then I'm going to remember to cross off number 1. Okay, let's see what's happened on the next question. Well, I can see that I have two shapes within a larger shape. I've got a rectangle, and then inside there I've got a trapezium and a triangle. And then I've got a trapezium inside and the triangle outside. But I can also see that the colours have changed. Now that's quite a lot to think about at once. So what I'm going to actually do this time is I'm going to circle the trapezium here, and I'm going to circle the trapezium here. So the shape on the right here has gone over to the left and it's changed colour. So the shape on this side here will go over to the right and it will change colour. Well, if I look in here, I haven't got a black diamond, I've got a white diamond over here. So I can get rid of this one, 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 and that tells me it's going to be this one because it has to move over to the left hand side like the trapezium did here. I can check the other part of the figure as well. The black triangle gets reflected and it changes to a different colour. Well, if I look here, my black parallelogram there gets reflected and it changes to another colour. So E will be the correct answer, so I'm going to circle that. Now hopefully you saw by actually taking an element and almost circling it, it worked out that we managed to solve that very, very quickly. Okay, let's use that again this time. So let's see what happens. Well, I'm going to take the white triangle this time. Let's see what happens to the white triangle. The white triangle is at the top, and if I look on the figure over here, it's gone to the bottom. So I'm going to go over here similarly, and I'm going to see what has happened. So if I take the shape that's on the top here, which is the rectangle, I'm looking for a rectangle on the bottom. Well, if I have a little look, I can see that all the rectangles are on the bottom. Okay, let's have a little look at some other things that change. Okay then, if I take the rectangle here with the stripes on, let's see what happens to those stripes. Well, they're going this way, and then on this figure they're going the other way, the alternative way. So if I have a little look at the figure I've got over here, I can see the stripes are going this way and they're going to obviously be going the other way. So I'm looking for some stripes on my large rectangle that are going the other way. Now I can see on here that they haven't changed, they're not changed direction, so I can get rid of this one, and I can see that they haven't changed on this one, so I can get rid of this one. Okay, let's have a little look at some other things then. Okay, let's see what's happened with this arrow here. Well, this arrow over here, it's changed and it's gone to the top. It's still on the right. They haven't actually changed sides at all. These two have just swapped vertically. So these should be swapping vertically as well. Now, if they swap vertically, I'd have the triangle on the left and the arrow on the right. Well, if I look at my options that are left, I can see that's the case for this one and this one, but not for this one. This one they've swapped over. Now, if I look at the two that are remaining, I can see that I have my lines going in one direction and then going in the other direction on this small arrow. So I have to see what's happened with the stripes. Well, the stripes on the arrow, they are going this way on this arrow, and then they're going this way. So all the shading changes to the opposite. So if we look on here, we can see the shading on this arrow here is going like this. So you would expect the shading to be going this way. And if I have a little look, I can see that the shading on this arrow here is going this way. So my answer is going to be C. I'm going to circle that on my answer sheet and cross it off. Let's look finally at question 4 and see if we can work out what's happened here. Well, if I have a little look, I can see that the triangle here has gone into the middle of all three shapes. It's in the centre of all three shapes. So I'm going to have a little look over here, and I'm going to take the same position shape over here. I can see it's a rectangle, and I'm going to look over here for a rectangle that is in the middle of all those shapes. Well, I can see straight away that D is. So I'm going to check some other elements and check that I'm on the right track. If I look over here, I can see I've got my circle in the middle of a rectangle, and the circle has become the large shape. If I look over here, I've got a square in the middle here. So I'm looking for D for the square to have become the large shape, which I can see it has. Now that is enough information now for me to make the decision that actually it's going to be number 4D as the correct answer. So I'm going to circle that and cross that off and mark it on my answer sheet. Now we have got question number 5. Why not have a go at answering that one yourself? I look forward to seeing you again in the next tutorial. There are question sheets and answer sheets on shape analogies attached to this tutorial that you can have a go at as well. Good luck. Bye.